right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we are going way back to the 1970s.
Oh, wow.
To the very beginning of a brand that I'm sure most folks are pretty familiar with these days.
I think so.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
We have got some really cool research and articles about those early days.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to find this is a much more interesting story than you might think.
Interesting.
It even involves a classic novel.
Okay.
The unique energy of Seattle in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
And a coffee scene that would be just unrecognizable today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so fascinating to me is how drastically different the whole coffee landscape was back then.
Right.
It's almost hard to imagine now, given our, obsession with all these artisanal roasts and fancy espresso drinks.
I know, right. But,
Instant coffee was just the norm.
the norm,
Did you believe that?
it's wild.
No single origin pour-overs.
Nope.
No cold brew, just instant.
It was all about convenience back then.
The idea of, freshly roasted high-quality beans. That was a pretty radical concept.
It really was revolutionary for the time.
It was, which is what makes the whole story of Starbucks' founding so compelling.
So set the scene for us.
Okay.
Who are these coffee revolutionaries?
Well, you've got three friends.
Okay.
Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Gordon Bolker.
Okay.
And what's really interesting about them is they weren't, big-time business moguls or anything.
Right.
One was an English teacher, another a history teacher,
Wow.
and the third a writer.
That's an interesting mix.
Not your typical entrepreneurial team.
So what sparked these guys to dive headfirst into the world of coffee?
They were all just really passionate about good coffee, which was kind of rare in the U.S. back then.
Right.
And their inspiration, believe it or not, actually came from a true coffee pioneer,
Okay.
Alfred Peet.
The legendary Alfred Peet.
Exactly.
I mean, he had his own company, Peet's Coffee and Tea, which is going strong even today.
It is, yeah.
What was so special about him? What made him stand out?
Well, Pete was a Dutch immigrant who opened his first shop in Berkeley, California,
Okay.
back in the 60s. And he was way ahead of his time. He was sourcing these high-quality beans, roasting them really carefully, creating these unique blends
Yeah.
that people just weren't used to in America.
So he was kind of like a coffee mentor to the Starbucks founders.
Absolutely.
Guiding them in the art of the bean.
Yeah, he took them under his wing. He taught them about roasting, sourcing, the nuances of different coffee varieties.
Yeah.
He really instilled in them a deep appreciation for, the art and craft of making coffee.
It makes you wonder if there would even be a Starbucks without Alfred Peet.
It's a good question.
Right.
It's definitely a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
But getting back to the Starbucks story, so they needed a name, right?
Right.
And they landed on
Starbucks, from Moby Dick.
Yep.
I'll be honest, that always seemed like such a random choice to me.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
What's the connection?
It might seem random, but if you think about it, the first mate, Starbuck, in Melville's novel, he's this strong, adventurous character.
Yeah.
And Seattle, where they were starting out, has a rich maritime history.
Oh, okay. So the name kind of evokes the sense of exploration,
Yeah.
of setting sail for new and exciting flavors.
Exactly. It captures the spirit of what they were trying to do.
Okay.
And it definitely stands out compared to all those generic coffee brands at the time.
Yeah. I mean, it really does.
Yeah.
So, speaking of setting sail, when did they actually open their first shop?
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
1971 Pike Place Market
Okay.
in Seattle.
I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
It's a really vibrant, bustling marketplace, with all sorts of vendors. And right there among the fishmongers and the flower stalls
Oh, wow.
was the very first Starbucks.
I bet the aroma of those fresh coffee beans was just incredible amidst all those other market smells.
Oh, I bet.
But here's the thing I always found kind of interesting.
I agree.
It wasn't actually a cafe when it first opened,
It wasn't, no, not at all.
was it?
It was more like a specialty store
Okay.
for real coffee lovers.
Okay.
They sold whole beans, tea, and equipment. But their main focus
Yeah.
was education.
So instead of grabbing a latte to go,
Yeah.
you went there to learn how to make incredible coffee at home.
Exactly. They wanted to, share their passion with people, empower people to become out-home baristas.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really different.
And even in those really early days, they were already super committed to ethical sourcing, right? Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
building strong relationships with the farmers and making sure they were treated fairly.
Yes, that commitment to ethical sourcing was there right from the start.
Uh-huh.
And it became, like a central part of their brand.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about how that focus back in the 70s
Yeah.
really helped to shape their values and how people see the company today.
It really set the stage
It did, yeah.
for how they run their business.
Yeah.
They weren't just selling a product, they were selling an experience.
Yeah.
And a whole new way to think about coffee.
Yeah, exactly. A whole new way of appreciating it.
So their growth was slow and steady. For a few years, they were just this local Seattle business focusing on quality and building their reputation.
Yeah,
But then things changed.
they did. A pivotal moment
Yeah.
when Howard Schultz enters the picture.
Yeah, I know he's a key figure in all of this, but before we jump into that,
Okay.
let's switch gears for a second
Okay.
and explore something totally different.
Yeah.
This fascinating glimpse into the world of AI
Okay.
and how it's starting to impact the world of podcasting.
Oh, wow.
So we have this YouTube video that really shows how AI is starting to change things up.
Okay.
In this case, you have this guy who took one of his own YouTube videos,
Okay.
and get this,
Right.
he used an AI tool called Notebook LM
Okay.
to create a Spanish language podcast from it.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah,
So he basically
Yeah.
made a podcast clone of himself,
pretty much.
speaking a different language.
Yeah.
Wow, what was the video even about?
It was actually about AI.
Oh, wow, that's meta.
Kind of meta, right?
Yeah.
He was discussing the new Llama 3.2 model
Uh-huh.
and Meta's augmented reality glasses.
I see, okay.
But what's really remarkable is that the AI was able to take the main points from his video,
Yeah.
reformat it into this dialogue format,
Okay.
and even extend the length of the podcast beyond the original video.
Hold on, the AI made the podcast longer.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
That's the power of these crazy new AI tools.
Wow.
They can analyze the content, understand the context, and generate new text that blends seamlessly with the original.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's like having a co-host that can instantly do research and expand on all your points.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
So it's not just spitting out a transcript,
No.
it's making a more in-depth and engaging version of the original content.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It really is.
It really opens up all sorts of possibilities.
Oh no.
Like imagine taking a lecture,
Uh-huh.
a meeting, or a really dense article
Yeah.
and using AI to transform it into a podcast you could listen to.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Right, you could listen to it on your commute,
Yeah.
at the gym,
Uh-huh.
anywhere.
It's like personalized, on-demand audio summaries of anything you need to learn.
Exactly.
Which actually reminds me of that quote we have about recording university lectures and using AI to summarize them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That user was really onto something.
It worked.
I mean, the ability to personalize how we learn, how we take in information, and tailor it to our own learning styles. I mean,
It's powerful.
it's super powerful. And it seems like AI is the key to unlock all that.
I think so.
Which brings us to this really important question.
Okay.
What does all this mean for the future of learning?
Hmm.
Could AI completely revolutionize education the same way that Starbucks revolutionized coffee?
That's a really fascinating question.
I think so.
And one we should definitely explore further.
Yeah.
But before we go down that road,
Okay.
let's circle back to Howard Schultz
Okay.
and see how he transformed Starbucks from this little Seattle company into the global phenomenon it is today.
All right. So let's dive back in.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we left off with Starbucks as this thriving local business in Seattle,
Right. Yeah.
deeply committed to quality and education. And then Howard Schultz walks in.
Wow.
What's his role in all this?
Well, Schultz joined Starbucks in the early 80s
Okay.
as the director of marketing and operations. And right away, he was impressed by, the quality of the coffee and the passion of the founders.
Yeah.
But he kind of saw a different future for the company.
Okay.
He envisioned Starbucks as this third place.
Third place. What does
Yeah.
that even mean?
So it's like this.
Okay.
It's a social hub, beyond work and home.
Yeah.
That's centered around this shared love of coffee.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not about just, grabbing a quick cup and going.
Right.
He wanted to create a sense of community,
Okay.
a place where people could relax,
Yeah.
connect with each other,
Uh,
and savor the experience.
I see.
He'd traveled to Italy
Mm-hmm.
and was really captivated by their coffee culture.
Okay.
You know, those bustling espresso bars where people would linger and socialize.
Right, right.
He wanted to bring that atmosphere to the U.S.
It's hard to imagine Starbucks not being that kind of place today.
Yeah, you're right.
But I guess back then it was a pretty new idea.
It was radical, actually. The original founders,
Yeah.
they weren't so sure about Schultz's vision.
Really?
Yeah, at first they actually resisted the whole idea of selling brewed coffee.
Huh, why?
Well, they were worried it would, compromise the quality
Oh,
that they were known for.
yeah.
And they thought it would shift the focus away from their core business,
Okay.
selling beans and equipment.
Right, yeah.
So it was a big departure from their original concept.
Yeah, so how did Schultz convince them?
Well, he was so convinced that this was the future of Starbucks
Mm-hmm.
that he actually left the company for a bit.
Wow.
Yeah, he started his own coffee shop
Okay.
called Il Giornale,
Oh.
and he modeled it after those Italian espresso bars,
Uh-huh.
focusing on brewed coffee, creating that welcoming social atmosphere.
Okay.
It was a huge success.
So he basically proved his concept
Yeah,
before bringing it back to Starbucks.
exactly. And then eventually he bought Starbucks, merged the two companies.
Okay.
And that's really when the Starbucks we know today
Yeah.
truly emerged.
Wow, that's a pretty bold move,
It was.
Leaving a successful company to go after your own vision
Yeah.
and then coming back and buying the original company.
Yeah, but it paid off.
It really
It's a classic entrepreneurial story, but
Yeah,
but it also kind of shows how important it is to adapt
right.
and to be willing to take risks,
Yeah.
to meet those evolving customer needs.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the times.
You do.
And just like Starbucks adapted to this changing coffee landscape,
Right.
we might be seeing a similar shift
Yeah.
in how we learn and consume information.
Right. And that brings us back to that question we asked earlier about AI.
Could AI revolutionize education the way Starbucks revolutionized coffee?
It's a really interesting thought.
It is.
We've already seen how AI can transform content, taking a YouTube video, turning it into a podcast, translating it into another language.
Yeah,
Imagine applying that to educational content.
right.
It's almost like democratizing knowledge,
Okay.
making it more accessible and engaging for everyone.
So lectures, textbooks, research papers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All those potentially dry, kind of intimidating sources of knowledge
Yeah,
could be turned into these easy to digest podcasts.
exactly.
Yeah.
Personalized to how you learn best.
You could be walking your dog listening to a summary of a complex scientific paper.
Yeah, or like getting a breakdown of some historical event during your commute.
That'd be amazing.
It would.
Right.
And it could go even further.
Okay.
Imagine AI tutors
Okay.
that personalize lessons based on your strengths and weaknesses.
Wow.
Or like interactive learning platforms that adapt to your pace
Okay.
and give you instant feedback.
It'd be like having a personal tutor available 24/7.
Yeah, basically. Tailoring the learning experience just for you.
And that kind of brings us back to that YouTube video.
It does.
And the Notebook LM tool.
Yeah.
It's not just about repurposing content. It's
Right.
about creating entirely new ways to learn.
Yep.
What I thought was super fascinating about that video
Yeah.
was how the AI was able to actually extend the podcast
I know.
beyond what was in the video.
It's wild.
It wasn't just transcribing, it
Yeah.
was adding new insights, elaborating on points.
Yeah, how does it even do that?
I know, right?
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
So the AI basically analyzes the content,
What?
identifies the key arguments, the concepts,
Yeah.
and then uses its knowledge base
Uh-huh.
to generate additional commentary, examples, even counterpoints.
So it's like having a super smart research assistant
Yeah, pretty much.
working alongside you,
Yes.
constantly providing new perspectives.
Constantly enriching the discussion.
Okay, but let's be real for a second.
Okay.
Are there any downsides to all this?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
With any new technology,
Yeah.
there are always potential downsides.
Yeah.
One concern is accuracy.
Okay.
AI is getting really good
Uh-huh.
at understanding and generating human-like text,
Yeah.
but it's not perfect.
Right.
There's always the risk of misinformation
Okay.
or bias creeping in,
Uh-huh.
especially if the AI is trained on, data sets that are already biased.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
We need to think about the ethical implications
Absolutely.
and make sure that these tools are being developed and used responsibly.
Yeah, that's crucial.
We don't want to recreate the inequalities that we already see
Right.
in traditional education.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that AI is being used to create a more equitable and accessible learning environment for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
For everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how we implement it and the values that we're prioritizing. If we can learn from Starbucks' commitment to ethical sourcing and their focus on community building,
Right.
we can maybe harness this power of AI to create a truly transformative learning experience.
I think so.
It's like we're at a crossroads. Similar to when Howard Schultz brought that whole third place vision to Starbucks.
Yeah.
We've got this incredible technology
Yeah.
with the potential to totally revolutionize education.
Yeah.
But we need to thoughtful
Yes.
and intentional
intentional.
about how we use it.
That's right.
What kind of future do we want to create?
That's a question.
What role do we want AI to play in that future?
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that it's a future where
Yeah.
everyone has the chance to reach their full potential?
I think those are questions worth thinking about.
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool journey so far.
It has.
From the humble beginnings of a small coffee shop in Seattle to the mind-blowing possibilities of AI, it really highlights how innovation can come from the most unexpected places.
It really does.
And how even the biggest, most established industries can be completely transformed.
Yeah. You never know what's going to come next.
And it makes you wonder, what other groundbreaking innovations are out there right now, just waiting to change the world as we know it?
That's a great question.
It is. It's a question that I think about a lot.
I think it's a great place to end, actually, with that sense of curiosity and anticipation
Yeah.
for what the future holds.
Well, what's next?
For what's next. Exactly. We've explored the past,
Yeah.
delved into the present,
Uh-huh.
glimpsed at the possibilities of the future.
I like it.
Yeah.
So now it's up to all of us to imagine
Yeah.
and create the world we want to live in.
I think so.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope this sparked your curiosity
Yeah.
and gave you some things to think about.
Some food for thought.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be the one brewing up the next big innovation.
It could be you.
Yeah, it is mind-blowing to think about what all we could do with this.
It is.
AI could personalize education. I mean, on a scale we've never seen.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's important to remember where we started this whole deep dive
Well,
with the story of Starbucks and their
right.
commitment to quality and ethical sourcing.
That's a really crucial point.
You know?
Yeah, as we're exploring the potential of AI in education,
Yeah.
we really need to be thinking about the ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Starbucks focused on building those relationships with coffee farmers
Yeah.
and making sure they were treated fairly.
Right.
We have to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly
For sure.
so that everyone benefits.
Absolutely. We don't want to just recreate the inequalities that already exist,
Yeah.
in education. We need to make sure AI is used to create a more equitable and accessible learning environment
I agree.
for everybody.
Yeah, for everyone.
It's not just about the technology. It's about how we use it
Exactly.
and what we care about, what values we're putting first.
And if we can learn from Starbucks' commitment to ethical sourcing
Yeah.
and how they focused on building community,
Yeah.
we can maybe take that
Yeah.
and use the power of AI to create this really amazing learning experience.
It's almost like we're at this crossroads, similar to when Howard Schultz came in with his third place vision for Starbucks.
Right.
We've got this incredible technology that could totally revolutionize education,
Yeah.
but we have to be smart about it.
Yes. Thoughtful and intentional.
Yeah, intentional about how we use it.
Yeah, we need to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
what kind of future are we trying to build?
What role do we want AI to play in all this?
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that it's a future where everyone has the opportunity to really succeed, and to reach their full potential?
I think those are really important questions.
Yeah, they're big questions.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey,
It has been.
starting with the humble beginnings of this tiny Seattle coffee shop
Yeah.
and ending up here
Right.
talking about the mind-blowing potential of AI.
It's wild how these things connect, right?
It is wild.
It really shows how innovation can pop up in these unexpected places.
It really does.
And how even the most established industries can be completely transformed.
For sure.
You never know what's going to come next.
It makes you wonder what other groundbreaking innovations are out there right now.
Right.
Just waiting to change everything.
That's a great thought.
It is. It's something I think about a lot.
I think that's a perfect note to end on, actually.
Yeah.
With that sense of curiosity and anticipation for what the future holds.
For what's next.
For what's next.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope it sparked your curiosity and gave you some food for thought.
Definitely.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep learning.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one brewing up the next big innovation.
It could be you.